Alabama portal, the impact of NFL draft departure on the 2022 season. The dust is starting to settle on this wave of Alabama offseason roster moves. Christian Harris declared for the NFL draft on the last day for underclassmen to enter the process. That makes 6 Crimson Tide juniors/redshirt juniors who put their name in the pot for the pros, 9 if you include the seniors who could have returned due to the 2020 COVID-19 year that didn't count against eligibility. The 6 juniors alone would have tied for the most Alabama underclassmen exits in a single year with the 2020 group headlined by Tua Tagovailoa. This group is interesting in a few ways, with left tackle Evan Neal in the mix to be Alabama's first #1 overall pick of the modern era, while there are some who are borderline for inclusion in the 7-round event. Then there's the transfer portal. Alabama's seen 12 players who began preseason camp exit the program, 8 in the week since the season ended. That's up slightly from the previous few cycles when 10 departed in each of the past 2 years. So, where does this leave Alabama as it turns the page for the 2022 season? First, it should be noted a quality core of last year's national runner-up return. 2 of the best players in the country will lead opposite sides of the ball in Heisman winner Bryce Young and All-American linebacker Will Anderson. What was lost to the portal was mainly depth. There were 22 starts among the 12 who entered the transfer portal. Of that, 13 came from linebacker Shane Lee's freshman season when injuries forced him into action week 1 of the 2019 season. Only 2 others had multiple starts in Jaleel Billingsley and linebacker Drew Sanders. When looking at potential, only 3 of the 12 were top 100 prospects when they arrived in Tuscaloosa, according to 247 Sports Composite. Their average overall ranking was 240 in their respective classes. The biggest impact, when combining the portal and draft, comes in the passing game. Young is losing 73% of the receptions from 2021 and 74% of the receiving yards. For the sake of comparison, Alabama lost 65% of its receptions and 67% of the receiving yardage from the 2020 group entering this fall, and that didn't stop Bryce Young from breaking a single-season program record with 4,872 pass yards. The top returning pass catcher for next fall is tight end Cameron Latu, while the top wideout on the stat sheet is Traeshon Holden. The second quarter ACL tear for Jameson Williams was crushing to the national title game effort, while also previewing what Alabama had coming back in the passing game. Granted, there will be time for young talent to improve before September, but you saw receivers struggle to gain separation on a night where the only touchdown was scored on a turnover-induced short field. That would logically mean another look at the transfer portal for Nick Saban and his offensive staff. The relocation wormhole clearly showed its value when landing Williams from Ohio State last spring, and his success paired with the prospect of Young throwing the passes wouldn't hurt the sales pitch for someone of the caliber looking for a better situation. There are 4 receivers among the top 25 players currently in the portal, according to The Athletic. That list is led by number 3 Isaiah Neyor of Wyoming, number 10 Deion Smith of LSU, number 11 Taj Harris of Syracuse, and number 14 Brendan Rice of Colorado. In terms of surprising exits, cornerback Jalyn Armour-Davis and receiver Slade Bolden would make the list. Bolden would have been the top receiver back but wasn't the big play threat that Metchie and Williams presented defenses. His longest reception was a 30-yarder in 2020, with a season best of 29 last fall. Armour-Davis was a first-year starter at cornerback, getting the nod in all 11 games he played as a redshirt junior. He has the size for the NFL but, like Bolden, wouldn't have the first-round forecast that Saban typically uses to advise exits when eligibility remains. And while depth is always a concern in the secondary, Alabama has 5-star freshman Kool-Aid McKinstry returning at corner while adding former All-American Eli Ricks from LSU via the portal. None of the other draft departures would have been considered a surprise, but there were less than ideal circumstances around too. Late-season ACL tears aren't always the recipe for draft success, but Metchie and Williams can look to center Landon Dickerson for hope. Though playing completely different positions, Dickerson only fell to the 37th pick in the second round after tearing his ACL in the SEC title game during the 2020 season. Bottom line, Alabama should be fine. Considerable talent/experience returns almost everywhere but receiver, where there's skill among young and still unproven talent. It lost a similarly large chunk of the receiving offense last year and still broke records. Outside help seems crucial to equal that rising phoenix of a fall, since Williams' 1,572 receiving yards changed the math in Young's first season starting. Nobody is backing off of early preseason rankings, with Alabama on top after 8 players hit the portal and 9 went pro in the past week. So, exodus or not, expect another 8 months of hype before Utah State visits Tuscaloosa on Sept. 3 for your 16 of the Saban era. Michael Casagrande is a reporter for the Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at @ByCasagrande or on Facebook.